the next leg was from San Francisco, which was my first major milestone. And then we went to, obviously, out of Northern California, where we had, I think, the biggest storm in 5 years hit the Northern Californian coast, which I was rightly caught in. There I took shelter in Klamath. I really pushed a hard day. I think I got to about 8 hours, and I was very close to Crescent City, and the storm just hit, and there was nothing I could do. So I just booked into a sort of a Holiday Inn for the night, which was great.
Taking some shelter. This is ridiculous. This is the 4th day in a row of this.
And just, you know, had the rain pelting against windows, but I was safe.
It is just pouring.
I use a sort of cycling community sort of app that you can connect with people, and yeah, I just arrived in Crescent City. This wonderful lady just, you know, offered up the entire sort of community center part of the church, and you know, left the keys and said, stay as long as you want, which is just really great. Good place to sort of settle down and obviously take shelter from that storm, and just kind of regroup and that sort of thing. So I just find it incredible that you meet somebody for the first time and they're willing to do that, an absolute stranger. So there's been a lot of that. I traveled largely through Southern Africa, and the Humboldt forests were just incredible. Northern California, giant redwood trees. There were periods where I'd be cycling maybe 20 or 30 miles with not a single car, you know, coming forwards or backwards, and just having these massive, I think the one part was called the Avenue of Giants. And also due to that storm, they'd closed a lot of the roads off. So I managed to sneak underneath the boom gates and just took a chance, and literally had 20 to 30 mile stretches of no one around, which was fantastic. Yeah, very, very impressive trees. Some of those trees are over 2,500 years old, and we're currently in 2014, and they've just, you know, been there doing their thing, and then you look at the world around you and you think, you know, what are we doing wrong? And I often find that that's where I draw a lot of my motivation and inspiration from the project, is from nature, and just the appreciation for it. Outside of Humboldt State Park, the one day I think I climbed over 1,400 meters. It was just relentless, just, you know, and you get to the top and you get this incredible view, and then you realize why you've been doing it, and the rewards in nature are very motivational for me.
So basically, long day. My bum's extremely sore, a little bit raw, but that's what it is. I was meant to head to Humboldt, but literally climbed 1,450 meters. Took about 3-4 hours of going straight up, and then it was 10 kilometers all the way down. Insane day. I've actually bought myself a raspberry brown local beer, so cheers. Just kind of doing the usual setup, just put up the tent. I'm the only one in this campsite. It's actually closed for winter. I hope I don't get kicked out, but first and foremost is trying to get a cup of coffee, try to get warm. So I've managed to find the right fuel for my stove finally, but today was incredibly tough. It was only 70 kilometers, but jeez, what a tough day. Just relentless. It's by far the most I've ever climbed in a single day. So just making some Obviously there are a lot of signs for bears. They've got the bear boxes for food. I'm hoping because it's this late in the season that I don't have any issues with bears. It's going to get dark fairly soon. I'm still on track. Probably going to take me 2 days to get you to Eureka, and then I'll be fairly settled in again, and then head north out of California and finally into Oregon. Today is day 16, so 20 days in California is not too bad. It's also getting fairly chilly. Quite important to bug. Quite a dangerous little fire this. It's just something that my gas stove keeps leaking. And then I've got some salmon for tonight, so I'm looking forward to that. And then just instant coffee. Some of this guy, a little bit blurry. Yeah. Just want to show you what's for dinner. It's a really nice piece of salmon. There we go. Quite fits in my pot, thank goodness. So, I got coffee, warm food. What more do you need?
And then obviously entering Oregon, which has been non-stop rain, which was quite challenging. But I've got to a point now where I just expect it. So I wake up in the morning, if it's raining, it's fine. You know, I expect rain every single day. So it's a treat when it doesn't rain for me now. And I just deal with it and ride in it. And if it gets bad, I take a bit of shelter and then carry on. But I can't not ride in the rain. I'd lose too much time, too much distance. So I've just dealt with the rain now. It's not an issue for me anymore. I had rain gear, very light rain gear, very sort of summer orientated equipment. And then fortunately once I got to Portland, I had a lot of my winter gear waiting for me. So I did quite a long stretch from Newport to Dayton, just before Portland.
It's just too narrow to ride on, so that's the situation. There's too many trucks and it's just too close, so I'm pushing. Have a big day today. Gonna try and make up about 140 kilometers heading to Portland. Not a bad view. Probably going to rain as it has been for the last 4 days. It's all good.
And again, a 70-year-old couple, John and Kay, you know, arrived there at night in the rain, and they drove out 10 miles out of town to come meet me, and just basically coached me in all the way to Dayton, making sure that cars behind could see, or you know, just kind of protect me on the shoulder of the road. It's just that sort of thing. They didn't have to do it. They'd never met me before, and again took me in for 2 days, fed me, looked after me, and just, you know, we just had a great time.
That was the toughest day by far. So, and at about 50 miles in, I just got stronger and stronger, and I was so lucky because it could have gone the other way.
Yeah. What did your mother say about you doing this?
I think I'll tell you that over a cup of coffee. Having a beer, which I earn. I've never earned a beer as much as I have today. It was the longest day I've ever cycled. I've done Ironman, I've done all sorts of extreme endurance events, and today was just by far the most difficult day I've ever done. So cheers to that. I've been hosted by Kay and John, who given me basically an entire apartment to myself, which is incredible. They didn't have to do it. It was just so kind. Again, it's the kindness of people that help the project along, and it's just, if this is the precedent going forth, then I'm really excited about Expedition 720 in the future. So awesome day. I'm done. No more Expedition 720 for the rest of the evening. Cheers.
You know, without sounding arrogant, it does inspire people, or the project itself, Expedition 720, does inspire people, and I think it also brings out an adventurer in your sort of average person. I have been fortunate from Portland to Seattle to have a friend, Eric Beattie, who's a bike shop owner in Portland. He joined me for a couple of days, which was a whole different dynamic. And what I did learn with riding with Eric was it was a great break from, you know, spending hours alone, and it confirmed my idea of doing a solo expedition, because things go wrong with Eric's bike, then there's a delay. Just packing up. Eric's got a flat tire. and bought his summer sleeping bag, so it's been really cold for him. That's what he's had to wake up to. It's just, I prefer to just be on my own, and you know, if something breaks, it's my fault, I'll fix it. If something goes wrong with another person, if that person gets ill, you know, there's so many more factors that come into play that could jeopardize the project.
I seriously can't even find us on the fucking map. I'm ready to throw this in the fucking water, man. I told you. Out in the rain. And where are we? Chalice? Chalice. But I have peanut butter and jelly. Yeah. From a gas station. We had quite a slow start this morning, so just trying to cover some miles to get to Seattle tomorrow before dark. So yeah, just pushing hard. What do you say, Eric?
To all of you folks back home, go do it. Just go do it. It's great.
Yeah. Right, geezer. Hello, mate.
where we part ways, my friend.
It's been real.
Good, man. Really take care of yourself. Maybe I'll see you in Alaska.
I hope so, yeah.
Currently I'm in Seattle, about 3 days away from the Canadian border. So getting to Seattle has been quite an achievement for me so far. It's also a place that or a location that I'm now using to get ready for the real winter. And I think the holiday is over, if I could put it that way. It's been relatively easy up until Seattle. And even within the last 3 days leaving Portland, I've instantly felt the drop in temperature. So, yep, getting ready for the cold. This is something that I've been looking forward to for months. It's like meeting Nelson Mandela for me. Actually a little bit nervous and excited at the same time.
My name is Erden Eruç. I have recently completed a human-powered circumnavigation in 5 years, 11 days. And for that I was acknowledged by the Explorers Club with a citation of merit. Yeah, it was a long journey.
So initially, I had the idea, and then I first came across Jason Lewis, who was the first person to circumnavigate the world. He took just over 10 years to do it, but he also didn't do it solo. And then the more I looked into the human-powered concept, Erden really stuck out.
I completed my journey in 5 years, 11 days. Started from Bodega Bay, rode across the Pacific, out to Bismarck Sea, and then over Papua New Guinea to the south side, across the Coral Sea, around Australia, across the Indian Ocean to Africa. Then from Namibia to Venezuela, up the Caribbean to Gulf, and back to Bodega Bay. So 5 years, 11 days of grueling challenge.
Instantly it was an inspiration. I mean, any man who can row across the Pacific, and he's rowed more than any person alive currently, which is just incredible.
Angelo contacted me. He reached out, and I looked at his proposed route, and I said, wow, more power to you.
So there are two ways to circumnavigate the world. To do a true circumnavigation, which is crossing the equator and having two antipodal points. Erden opted for more of an ocean rowing circumnavigation, where I've gone for more cycling or more land-based.
He's going to need to break this down into bite-sized chunks and solve the logistical and bureaucratic challenges of each phase separately. So one needs to play along, go along, trust the process, figure out the next phase, try to plan ahead as much as possible, but not really lose sleep over the last phase in the journey. Trust the process, keep going, forge ahead, and really that's the only way to get these journeys done. To think that one has all the answers at the beginning is foolish. I think going in winter conditions north toward Alaska is going to require staying on well-traveled roads so that camping is minimized as much as possible. He can take advantage of the roadhouses along the way and get food, get lodging, whatever needs he has, he can take advantage of civilization that way. And also, well-traveled roads mean, while it will create problems with, for example, trucks passing by, blown up loose snow, it also will mean that these vehicles will pack down the snow, and he will have an easier time riding on packed snow rather than fresh snow.
There's not a lot of people doing this. 400 people have crossed the Atlantic, over 6,000 people have climbed Everest, and only 2 people have successfully circumnavigated the world under human power. It's meeting 1 in 7 billion that will understand what I'm actually doing. So
planning ahead, having the right gear, having the right mindset, having the attitude, the can-do attitude to be able to improvise on the spot. All of those are going to be necessary, and it's the trademark of any explorer, adventurer who takes on such a big challenge anyway. So if he doesn't have those now, better acquire it quickly.
You know, for a year, that's exactly what I was doing. I was telling people that I'm going to be circumnavigating the world, and you know, you have these interviews and you're telling people, and it's just a lot of talk, and it's talk. But at the same time, I had to talk about the project in order to get sponsors. I mean, you've got this idea, but you've got no funding for it. And I had to build up a bit of hype about the project in order to get the funds. And this is the most exciting part now, is to actually be in the project and to walk the talk, if you could put it that way.
These kinds of journeys become the talking point, they become the invitation for others to get involved. I found that if I let the journey lead and I became a servant to the journey, I became the engine for it, I became the speaker for it, I became the mouthpiece for it, I pulled it and pushed it and cajoled it to keep moving. Serving the journey served me well too, because others also tried to serve the journey that way. So as long as I took myself a step behind the journey, I let the journey lead, that was a gift. And others found a place for themselves in the journey. That's I think, critical.
This is a man that's done it. He's circumnavigated the world solo, east to west, in 5 years and 11 days. And I'm trying to break his record. And the fact that he's willing to meet and potentially give advice just shows you what kind of character he is.
I've met Angelo today, and I find in him an idealist, an altruist, and he is turning his journey into a fundraising effort. He's trying to make his journey something other than one that is only focused on himself, but rather to serve a larger cause. He's trying to raise funds for Heifer International. So if you would be kind to check his website and learn about his cause and help him, that would be wonderful.
Heifer International South Africa is an incredible group, very committed, and trying to balance sponsors and Heifer International and the actual project. To me, at the moment, that is a major challenge. It's just so difficult to try and raise funds whilst being on the bicycle. Yes, you meet the odd person who's interested in donating, a personal contribution of some sort. But to try get it on a larger scale, I mean, we've got a very ambitious target. Currently, they've got projects in the Eastern Cape, Limpopo province, and northern KZN, or northern KwaZulu-Natal. Northern KwaZulu-Natal is where I'm from. What Heifer do is they teach a man how to fish, and they stay in these communities for long enough to give these underprivileged people an opportunity to better themselves and to better their neighbours, and to basically grow a community. And they follow through up until they're completely sustainable and are able to feed themselves, which is great. And I think about all the excess that I've seen, how little $50 is for one individual in America, and how much it would mean to somebody in South Africa. As important as it is to cover these miles and to get the heifer component is equally important for me personally to try raise. So there are two challenges within Expedition 720 for me, and that's to obviously circumnavigate the world from east to west and pole to pole, and also to raise that $1 million US over the 8-year period. People can donate different portions. They can donate $10 for chicken, or $50 for a goat, and so on and so forth. So it's very obtainable for a person to donate. If they go onto the www.expedition720 website, it's accessible there, or they can go to HEF International South Africa's website and donate directly, and just give the reference number EXP720. No, I try Skype my folks and friends on a weekly basis. I've got certain systems in place where I just send messages, okay, safe, on a daily basis. Especially to my mum and dad, they worry quite a bit. And yeah, this is a difficult time of year. Obviously it's Christmas and the holiday season, so yeah, it is what it is, and it's part of the project, but obviously I get feelings that I miss home, yeah. To be honest, I think the project has exceeded my expectations. I still get surprised every day and get this just feeling of excitement, even on the incredibly long and difficult days. I always feel great at the end of the day if I've reached my goal that I set out in the beginning. And then I feel like I've achieved it. It's the same as anyone in any job. This is a job for me, so if I don't complete my tasks, then I'll feel like not a failure, but I would have failed at that specific task. It's funny because I think when people first meet me, they expect like this, tall, bigger, really tough guy. But I think where that comes in is when you're on the actual road and you're doing what when you're in that moment, it's just, for me it's survival, and that's it. I have to get to my next point and I push on for that, and obviously always keep safe. And you got to push on. It's mental endurance. You've got to keep going. Often I've thought about even the other day coming into Seattle, I'd already done 80 miles. It was dark, and I thought, shit, it's quite easy just to stop off here and call it a day. But you have to push on. You have to reach those goals. And I think if you stop reaching those goals, you'll quit more often, and eventually that will lead to potentially quitting the project. So you just have to push on as much as you can.